I want to reaffirm that the Speaker has not confirmed any travel plans, and it is for the Speaker to do so and her staff. So we won't be commenting or speculating about the stops on her trip. We have been clear from the very beginning that she will make her own decisions and that Congress is an independent branch of government. Our Constitution embeds a separation of powers. This is well known to the PRC, given our more than 4 decades of diplomatic relations. The Speaker has the right to visit Taiwan, and the Speaker of the House has visited Taiwan before without incident, as have many members of Congress, including this year. The world has seen the United States government be very clear that nothing has changed about our One China policy, which is, of course, guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint U.S.-PRC communiques, and the 6 assurances. We have said, and we have repeatedly said, that we oppose any unilateral changes to the status quo from either side. We have said that we do not support Taiwan independence, and we have said that we expect cross-strait differences to be resolved by peaceful means. We have communicated this directly to the PRC at the highest levels, including as recently as last week in the phone call between President Biden and President Xi. The National Security Advisor, the Secretaries of State and Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff have also made this very clear to Beijing in a half a dozen recent high-level conversations. Put simply, there is no reason for Beijing to turn a potential visit consistent with long-standing U.S. policy into some sort of crisis or conflict, or use it as a pretext to increase aggressive military activity in or around the Taiwan Strait. And yet, over the weekend, even before Speaker Pelosi arrived in the region, China conducted a live-fire exercise. The last time Beijing fired missiles into the Taiwan Strait was 1995 and 1996, after Beijing reacted provocatively to Taiwan's president's visit to deliver an address at his alma mater. I want to contrast this now between the United States and China. We, and countries around the world, believe escalation serves no one. Beijing's actions could have unintended consequences that only serve to increase tensions. Meanwhile, our actions are not threatening, and they break no new ground. Nothing about this potential visit, which, oh, by the way, has precedent, would change the status quo. And the world should reject any PRC effort to use it to do so. We will not take the bait or engage in saber-rattling. At the same time, we will not be intimidated. We will keep operating in the seas and the skies of the Western Pacific as we have for decades. We expect to see Beijing continue to use inflammatory rhetoric and disinformation in the coming days. The United States, by contrast, will act with transparency. We'll stand up here, we'll answer your questions, we'll give you the facts. Questions?
Thanks, John. So, given all the saber-rattling that's being done by China and the fact that Speaker Pelosi is still considering a trip, the fact that...
And everything we've said, including during the president's phone call, is that we're being consistent. There's no change. We've not ramped up the rhetoric. We've not changed our behavior. Everything we've done is consistent with our obligations and our commitments.
But if the policy hasn't changed, then why was the Speaker being urged not to go?
I don't know that she was urged not to go. Who urged her not to go?
The president said on August 20th that the military doesn't think it's a good idea for her to go.
The Speaker makes her own decisions. What we did was provide her context, analysis, facts, information, so that she could make the best decision possible for every stop, for every overseas travel. And again, I'm not going to get ahead of her or her staff here with respect to the rest of this trip.
Does the U.S. military still think it's not a good idea?
I would refer you to the military. That's why it was so important for me in my opening comments, Kelly, to make clear what this administration's policy is with respect to the One China One China policy, as well as not wanting to see cross-strait tensions resolved by any other than peaceful means, and the fact that we don't support Taiwan independence. It was important for me to lay that down right at the outset. That's our policy. That's this administration's approach. I can't speak for what Speaker Pelosi may do or say on this trip.
Thanks. John, you mentioned the potential of missile launches by China, are the people of Taiwan at risk if Speaker Pelosi makes this visit, and is she at risk if she makes this visit?
Well, we certainly don't think there's any reason for anybody to be at risk here with a potential visit. Again, hasn't been announced, and I won't speak for Speaker Pelosi. But there's certainly no reason for this to come to blows. There's certainly no reason for this to escalate. And as for the potential risks, I think that is a better question put to the PRC and to the PLA Army and Navy and the Air Force. We're going to watch this very, very closely. We're going to make sure that she has a safe and secure visit, because that's our responsibility. And we urge, as I said at the outset, we urge China to, if she goes, to see this for exactly what it is. Nothing new, no change to our policy, and certainly not an unprecedented visit by the Speaker of the House.
You also said the U.S. will not be intimidated. Do you feel that using language like that right now will be viewed by China in a way that you are also raising rhetoric the way they have?
You said it right at the top, like that they have. They have been out there in recent days with some irresponsible rhetoric. We feel it's important for everybody in the region to understand how seriously we take our security commitments in the Indo-Pacific, and that's why we put it that way. There's no reason, Jeff, for this to honestly, there's just no reason for this to escalate.